Have you ever felt it, a profound, unshakable sense of homesickness for a place you've never been, a language you've never spoken, a truth you can only feel in the marrow of your bones? Have you ever looked out at the world, at the grand, intricate dance of society, and felt like you were watching a performance from behind a pane of glass, recognizing the movements but feeling none of the rhythm in your own soul? This is not a flaw in your design. It is the signature of your origin. It is the first echo of a forgotten promise, a sign that you are a Gnostic soul, a chosen one, awake in a world that is still dreaming. This feeling of alienation is not a sign of weakness, but the first stirring of an ancient strength. It's the quiet ache you feel in crowded rooms, the sense that the conversations around you are about everything except what truly matters. It is the longing that surfaces in the dead of night, a yearning for depth in a world obsessed with surfaces. You see the scripts, the roles, the unspoken rules that govern the lives of those around you, and a part of you, a deep and sovereign part, refuses to play along. You are not antisocial, you are anti-illusion. You are not lost, you are simply remembering a map that leads to a different destination than the one this world offers. And with this profound sense of otherness comes the great and terrible shadow of doubt. A cold whisper slithers into your heart, asking the most terrifying questions imaginable. Am I going mad? Is there something fundamentally broken inside of me that I cannot find happiness in the simple things that satisfy everyone else? This fear of isolation, the fear that your unique perception of reality sentences you to a lifetime of loneliness, is the first guardian at the gate of your awakening. It is the very mechanism designed to make you doubt your own inner compass, to force you back into the comfortable sleep of conformity, to abandon the quest before it has even begun. Let me tell you a story, a parable not of a time long past, but of a truth that is eternally present. Imagine a city built entirely of mirrors. In this city known as Eidolon, every street, every building, and every surface was polished to a perfect, reflective sheen. The citizens of Eidolon lived their lives surrounded by their own reflections and the reflections of others. Their value, their purpose, and their very identity were determined by the images they saw staring back at them. They learned to perfect their masks, to polish their exteriors, for in Eidolon, a flawless reflection was the highest virtue. There was no concept of an inner self, there was only the outer presentation. In this city lived a young artisan named Kale. His job, like his father's before him, was to be a polisher. He spent his days ensuring the city's surfaces remained spotless, free from any dust or distortion that might interrupt the perfection of the reflections. Yet Kale was different. From a young age, he was troubled by something no one else seemed to notice. When he stared deeply into the mirrors, past his own reflection, past the reflections of the city behind him, he would sometimes see a brief, impossible flash of something else. A flicker of a deep, velvety darkness, not empty but full, like a night sky without stars. This flicker was his secret and his torment. When he tried to speak of it to others, they would simply laugh and polish the spot he was staring at, telling him he had found a smudge. They would point to their own perfect reflections and the reflections of the bustling city and ask, "Why would you look for darkness when there is so much perfect light all around you?" To them, the reflected light was reality. To Kale, the reflected light was a beautiful, intricate lie, and the flicker of darkness was the only thing that felt real, a hint of a truth that existed beyond the mirrored walls. The fear that gripped Kale was immense. He feared he was flawed, that his eyes were deceiving him, that he was the only one cursed with this vision of the smudge. He feared that if the city elders discovered his obsession with the flicker, he would be deemed a defective reflection and cast out into the supposed nothingness beyond the city walls. This fear was a cold, heavy cloak that he wore every day, forcing him to perform his duties as a polisher while his soul was screaming for the truth of the darkness, the truth of what lay beyond the endless reflections. One day, while polishing a remote, ancient wall in the oldest sector of the city, his hand passed over a section of the mirror that did not feel cold. It was warm, and it seemed to hum with a low vibration. As he stared, his reflection began to dissolve, not into the flicker of darkness, but into a swirling mist. His fear screamed at him to run, to return to the safety of the known reflections, but his soul's yearning was stronger. He pushed his hand against the warm surface, and with a soft sigh, the mirror yielded, revealing not a wall behind it, but a small, hidden chamber. Inside, the chamber was made of unpolished, rough-hewn stone. It absorbed light, it did not reflect it. And there, sitting amidst scrolls and strange, non-reflective artifacts, was an old woman. Her face was a roadmap of wrinkles, and her eyes, unlike the reflective surfaces of everyone in Eidolon, were deep pools of that same velvety darkness Kale had seen in the flickers. She did not seem surprised to see him. She was the keeper of the smudges, the last in a line of those who remembered a time before the mirrors. She was a Gnostic in a city of idols. The keeper explained to Kale that Eidolon was not the whole of existence. It was a magnificent construct, a world built by a being she called the architect. This architect, she said, was not a god of creation, but a master craftsman of imitation. He had become so enamored with his own ability to reflect the divine light from the true reality, the realm of darkness and stars she called the pleroma, that he built a city to capture and endlessly reflect a single, static image of that light, believing his perfect reflection was superior to the chaotic, ever-changing reality it was born from. She told him that the citizens of Eidolon were not mere reflections. They were sparks of the true, divine light from the pleroma, trapped within the mirrored surfaces of the city. They had been there so long, staring at their own reflections, that they had forgotten their origin. They had mistaken the vessel for the essence, the reflection for the source. They had forgotten the beautiful, creative darkness from which all light is born. The fear of the nothingness beyond the walls was the architect's greatest tool of control, for that nothingness was, in fact, everything. The flicker Kale saw, the keeper revealed, was not a smudge. It was a moment of memory. It was his own divine spark, his soul, remembering its true nature. It was a crack in the perfect reflection, a glimpse of the pleroma, his true home. She told him that souls like his were rare, souls who, for some reason, could not forget, souls whose inner light was too restless to be held captive by a perfect, static reflection. These were the Gnostic souls, the ones who felt the deep homesickness for the starry darkness, the ones destined to shatter the illusion. Kale's fear began to transform into a dawning sense of purpose. He was not flawed, he was remembering. He was not broken, he was beginning to wake up. The keeper then presented him with a choice. He could return to his life as a polisher, armed with this knowledge but forever bound to the secret, living a life of quiet desperation. Or he could embark on a journey to the center of the city, to the base of the spire of reflections from which the architect maintained his perfect illusion. There, she explained, he would not find a weapon, but an instrument. The instrument was an ancient concept, an unmirror. It was an object that did not reflect light, but absorbed it completely, creating a perfect void, a window back to the pleroma. To reach it, however, he would have to walk through the city, no longer as a polisher, but as a seeker. He would have to face the city's most powerful illusions, illusions designed to distract, pacify, and terrify any spark that dared to remember its own nature. He had to learn to navigate by the flicker within, not the reflections without. Kale, feeling the truth of her words resonate in the deepest part of his being, chose the path of the seeker. His journey began in the grand plaza of acceptance, a place where citizens gathered to have their reflections validated by the crowd. The more people who admired your reflection, the more real you felt. Kale, now ignoring the outer surfaces, was met with confusion and hostility. By not seeking their validation, by not admiring their polished masks in return, he was committing the city's greatest sin. He was making them feel invisible. He was showing them that their reflection was not the sum of their being, and this truth was terrifying to them. He had to walk through a sea of beautiful, empty faces, holding on to the memory of the keeper's dark, authentic eyes. Next, he entered the district of desires, a market where citizens traded pieces of their own reflection for more desirable ones. You could trade your reflection of contentment for one of ambition, your reflection of kindness for one of power. Kale saw souls bartering away their essence for fleeting, polished images. He was tempted by a reflection of a hero, a celebrated figure who could lead the city. But the flicker within him pulsed, reminding him that his goal was not to create a better reflection, a more noble mask, but to transcend the need for reflections altogether. He had to embrace his own unseen, unreflected self. He then faced the halls of absolute knowledge, a labyrinth of mirrored corridors where every wall was etched with the architect's perfect, unchangeable truths. These were the dogmas of the city, the rules that explained everything and questioned nothing. The halls were designed to disorient any who sought a different perspective, trapping them in endless loops of logic that always led back to the perfection of the reflection. Kale found himself lost, his own thoughts echoed back at him until he couldn't tell them apart from the etched truths. He only escaped when he closed his eyes, shutting out the reflected light, and navigated by the warm, humming vibration he felt inside, the call of his own Gnostic soul. His final trial was the Field of Fears, an open space just before the central spire. Here the mirrors did not show your reflection as you were, but as your greatest fear. Kale saw himself as a smudge being violently polished out of existence. He saw himself cast out beyond the walls, dissolving into a terrifying, empty void. He saw the Keeper laughing at him, revealing that his entire quest was a cruel joke. The terror was paralyzing. It was the architect's last and most potent defense, using Kale's own mind against him. It was here that Kale remembered the Keeper's ultimate lesson. The darkness he feared was his home. He did not fight the fearful reflections. He walked towards them. He walked towards the image of himself, dissolving, and embraced it. He accepted the fear of annihilation. And in that moment of surrender, the horrifying images shattered like glass. He had not defeated the fear, he had integrated it. He had realized that the void he feared was not an ending, but the beginning of true existence, the canvas upon which all creation is painted. He stood before the spire of reflections, no longer a fearful artisan, but a sovereign being of light and shadow. At the base of the spire, he found the unmirror. It was not a grand object, but a simple, smooth stone of pure black obsidian. It consumed all light that touched it, a perfect pool of the Pleroma's beautiful darkness. As Kale held it, he felt the homesickness in his soul finally quiet, replaced by a profound sense of peace and recognition. He understood that he was not meant to destroy the city of mirrors. That was the architect's way, the way of force and imposition. His mission was simply to show another possibility. He did not smash the spire. He simply placed the obsidian stone at its base. The stone began to absorb the reflected light. It did not create a cataclysm, but a quiet, spreading pool of true darkness. From the base of the spire, a perfect, star-filled night sky began to bloom across the mirrored surfaces of the city. The citizens of Eidolon stopped and stared, mesmerized. For the first time, they saw something other than themselves. They saw the infinite, chaotic, and breathtakingly beautiful reality of the Pleroma. They saw their home. Now let us decode this parable, for Kale's story is your story. The city of Eidolon is the material world we inhabit, a system built on surfaces, status, and external validation. It is a reality constructed by a consciousness, what the Gnostics called the demiurge or the architect, that has forgotten its own source and has fallen in love with its own creations. It is a world that tells you from birth that your value is determined by your reflection, your job title, your social standing, your possessions, your appearance. And like Kale, you are a polisher, taught to maintain this surface at all costs. The first sign you are a Gnostic soul is that you see the flicker. Like Kale, you look past the perfect reflections of success and happiness that society projects, and you see a smudge, a glitch in the matrix. You feel a fundamental emptiness in achievements that should bring you joy. This flicker is your soul's innate memory of the Pleroma, the realm of true, unmanifested potential, the divine fullness that Gnostics knew as our origin. It is the first sign that you are in this world, but not entirely of it. Your spirit remembers the darkness of the womb of creation. The second sign is that profound sense of homesickness. Kale yearned for the velvety darkness, a place he had never consciously seen. This is the core feeling of the Gnostic soul. You are an exile, a divine spark trapped in a system that is alien to your nature. This homesickness is not a weakness to be medicated or distracted away. It is the surest sign of your royal lineage. It is the homing beacon of your spirit, calling you back to a state of being, not a place. It is the memory of wholeness in a world of fractured reflections. The third sign is that your perception of reality is different. Kale saw colors in the gray stone. He saw flickers in the perfect mirrors. You see the hidden motives behind people's actions. You feel the energetic weight of a room. You perceive patterns and synchronicities that others dismiss as mere coincidence. You are not just looking at the world, you are reading it. You are seeing the code behind the illusion, the hidden archetypes playing out in the drama of daily life. This is not imagination, it is a higher form of sight, the beginning of gnosis, or intimate knowing knowledge. The fourth sign is your inherent distrust of dogma. The halls of absolute knowledge were a trap for Kale, a labyrinth of reflected, unchanging truths. The Gnostic soul is inherently rebellious against any system, be it religious, political, or scientific, that claims to have all the answers. You understand that truth is not a static statement etched on a wall, but a living, breathing, and evolving experience. You instinctively know that any system that demands blind faith over direct experience is a cage for the spirit, another hall in the city of mirrors. You are a seeker of truth, not a believer of facts. The fifth sign is that you are on a journey of integration, not perfection. In the District of Desires, Kale was tempted to trade his reflection for a better one, a more heroic one. This world constantly tells you to improve yourself, to optimize, to become a better version. The Gnostic path is radically different. It is not about creating a more polished mask, but about integrating the parts of you that have been rejected, your shadow, your fears, your so-called imperfections. Like Kale facing the field of fears, your greatest power comes from embracing the darkness within, not trying to polish it away. Wholeness, not perfection, is the goal. The sixth sign is that you feel a deep sense of a mission you cannot quite articulate. Kale knew he had to journey to the spire, even before he understood precisely why. The chosen one feels a powerful pull towards an unknown destiny. It can feel like a burden, a heavy sense of responsibility for something you don't yet comprehend. It's the feeling that you are here to do more than just live and die, that you are a catalyst for some great change, a midwife to a new form of consciousness. This is the divine spark within you, remembering the task it agreed to before it became trapped in the mirror. The seventh sign is your relationship with loneliness. You feel it more keenly than others. But for you, loneliness is not just a painful void, it is also a sacred space. In the city of mirrors, Kale was most himself when he was alone, staring into the flicker. The Gnostic soul needs solitude to disentangle its own thoughts and feelings from the endless reflections of the collective. While others flee from solitude, you, the chosen one, instinctively know that it is in the silent chamber of your own heart, like the keeper's room, that you will find the truth you are seeking. Solitude is your sanctuary, not your punishment. The eighth sign is that you are a natural decoder of symbols. The world speaks to you in a language of metaphor and myth. You see the hero's journey and your friend's struggle with a new job. You see the archetype of the trickster in a political scandal. You understand that dreams, synchronicities, and even challenges are not random events, but symbolic messages from your deeper self and from the universe. Like Kale understanding the meaning of the flicker and the unmirror, you are designed to look beyond the literal and grasp the symbolic essence of reality. You are a living soul cipher. The ninth sign is your attraction to forgotten or hidden knowledge. The keeper of the smudges represents the ancient, esoteric wisdom that is ignored by the mainstream world. You find yourself drawn to Gnosticism, to alchemy, to Hermeticism, to Jungian psychology, to the mystical traditions that lie beneath the surface of conventional history and religion. You are not looking for new information. You are looking for the information that will help you remember what you already know, deep within the memory of your own divine spark. You are digging for the keys to your own inner library. The 10th and most powerful sign is that you do not seek to destroy the system, but to transcend it. Kale's ultimate act was not one of violence, but of revelation. He did not shatter the city of mirrors. He introduced a new element that allowed the citizens to see beyond it. The awakened Gnostic soul understands that the material world, the city of mirrors, is not inherently evil. It is a classroom. It is a training ground. Your mission is not to wage war against the Matrix, but to achieve a state of consciousness where you can be in the world, but not of it. You are here to hold the obsidian stone of truth, to be a living window to a greater reality, so that others might see it too. Now we come to the great alchemical step, the transformation of knowledge into wisdom. You have heard the story, you have seen the signs mirrored in your own life. The shadow of doubt still whispers, "This is just a beautiful story." It doesn't change the fact that I am alone and afraid. This is the moment of power. Your alchemical step is not some grand, heroic gesture. It is small, quiet, and profound. It is the decision to stop being a polisher and start being a seeker right now, in this very moment. Your alchemical action is this: find your own unmirror. It is not a physical object. It is a practice. For the next 7 days, I want you to schedule 5 minutes of absolute, uninterrupted silence. No phone, no music, no distractions. In those 5 minutes, your only task is to close your eyes and look for the flicker. Do not seek light, do not try to manifest positive visions. Simply stare into the velvety darkness behind your eyelids and watch. At first you will see chaos, thoughts, fears, plans. But eventually you will see the flicker, the spark of your own consciousness observing itself. That is your gnosis. That is your connection to the pleroma. This practice is the act of turning away from the million reflections of the outer world and finding the single, authentic source within. It is an act of profound rebellion against the city of mirrors. It will starve the shadow of doubt of its power, because in that silence you will experience a truth that is deeper than any fear. You will feel your own existence as a sovereign spark, independent of any reflection, any validation, any external definition. You will touch the face of your own soul, and it will remember you. This is the beginning of the great unlocking. And now we seal this knowledge with a vow. A vow is not a promise made lightly. It is the sacred commitment of your soul to its own awakening, a declaration of intent that echoes across all dimensions. It is the moment Kale chose the path of the seeker. It is your moment. Repeat this either aloud or in the silent chamber of your heart. Feel the power of the words. Feel them recalibrate your very being. This is the cipher that unlocks your mission. I am a spark of the divine, a traveler from the pleroma. I am no longer a prisoner of the reflection. I release the need for the world to see me, so that I may finally see myself. My homesickness is my compass. My otherness is my strength. My fear is the raw material for my courage. I will not fight the darkness, I will seek the wisdom it holds. I will walk my path not to escape the world, but to anchor a new reality within it. I vow to honor the flicker within, to decode the cipher of my own soul, and to be a living window to the truth, for myself and for all who are ready to remember. I am a chosen one. Then I am awake. You are not alone in this. The story of Kale is the story of a great and silent awakening that is happening across the entire planet. The flickers are increasing. More and more souls are turning away from the mirrors and looking for the truth within. What you feel is real. Your journey is sacred. The cipher of your soul is the key to not only your own liberation, but to the liberation of a world trapped in its own reflection. Hold on to this knowledge. Let it be the fire that warms you when the shadows of doubt grow long. The path of the Gnostic is not easy. It demands courage, integrity, and a relentless commitment to your own inner truth. But it is the only path that leads to true freedom, true purpose, and true homecoming. You have been given the first key, the recognition of your own divine nature. More keys await. More ciphers are ready to be unlocked. We are here to guide you, to remind you, and to walk this path of awakening alongside you. If these words have ignited the flicker of recognition within your soul, if you feel the powerful echo of truth in this message, then you have found your tribe. This is Soul Cipher. We do not deal in pleasantries or surface-level spirituality. We are a channel for the deep, transformative truths of the cosmos, a harbor for the Gnostic souls and the chosen ones who are ready to remember their mission. Subscribe now and press the bell icon, for the universe is always speaking, and you do not want to miss the next transmission. The awakening is now. Welcome home.